Welcome to Taiwan Talk. This is Grace Carroll, and this week we're going to talk about LGBTQ issues. In May of 2017, after the country's highest court ruled in favor of marriage equality, Taiwan made international headlines as Asia's most accepting, tolerant, and gay-friendly country. Is Taiwan living up to its reputation? What is life really like for LGBTQ people in Taiwan? I met with Sean and May, two employees at the Tongzhi Hotline in Taipei, the longest-standing LGBTQ rights association in the country.
My name is May. I'm a director of marketing in Hotline.
So my name is Sean, and I'm the director of policy advocacy. Hotline, actually, the full name is Taiwan Tongzhi Hotline Association, and Tongzhi means LGBTQ in Mandarin. And Hotline was founded in 1998 and is now the most long-standing and now the biggest LGBTQ national organization in Taiwan. Yeah. So at first, because we call ourselves Hotline, so at first we provide a telephone consultation, and by answering telephone, we found out that there are a lot of needs in the LGBTQ communities. So we expand our organization into different working groups.
The first branch of the hotline is pretty consistent with its founding mission as a help hotline, providing direct services to the LGBTQ community in Taiwan, from telephone consults about sex and relationships to monthly support groups.
The biggest issue that people call us is to deal with their relationship issues.
Okay.
Yeah, how to find a friend, how to find partners, how to be together, and if they like someone, how to confess to them. Yeah, and how to break up. Yeah, how to do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because in schools, we really don't have this kind of emotion education. If we do, it's mostly related to the straight students, not to LGBT students. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For 2016, we had around 2,000 calls. And the first one is, like Sean says, for the support. Yeah, and then it's about relationship and AIDS. And some of them still struggle with their identity and family issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
May also heads up the hotline's programs for LGBTQ teenagers. So if you're working with LGBTQ teens, can you tell me a little bit about the work that you're doing with them?
LGBT teenager service started 2013. Yeah, and we have the monthly gathering, so we will talk different topics like the school and family and the sex education, because we think they cannot really have the information about LGBT issues in the campus. So that's why we start the monthly gathering, and the gathering also give them the safe space to talk about themselves. Yeah.
And then are all of these kids out of the closet?
Not really. Some of them are, but some of still in the closet. Yeah.
And what are they most worried about?
I think for them right now, like a straight teenager, they always talk about the relationship, and they also want to know how to have more friends like themselves. But still, they also will worry about family issues. Yeah, and sometimes they still have difficult situation in the campus, like how they cannot really come out, and sometimes because their gender expression is different, so they will be bullied in the school. Yeah.
Is there a lot of social stigma attached to being LGBTQ in Taiwan?
I think yes, but it depends on which generation you are. I'm 37 right now. Yeah, so in my generation, especially because I'm gay, being a gay man in my era, it is still a taboo. So when I was a teenager, actually, I didn't come out to anyone, almost no one. I came out in my college. Yeah, so that means that I have a hard time in my teenage life. Yeah. But for teenagers now, I think they have more resources because they can search information online, and the social atmosphere changed, so it's easier for them to come out. But still, some are some don't have any resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think being gay is even harder than being lesbian. Because in the Chinese culture, we can allow two women to be together very, very closely, but we don't allow two men to be together very closely. Yeah, and also being a transgender is even harder. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of transgender or genderqueer teenagers?
We have few transgender teenagers in our group. Yeah, but I think their needs is very different from the LGBT teenager. Yeah, because they don't really have a closet, so it's even harder. Yeah.
And also because just like a teenager, she identified herself as trans woman. Yeah, and she had a hard time in school because she identified herself as a transgender woman, but so she want to use the female restroom. But actually, she didn't come out to anyone in schools. So in schools, she still dressed like a male student. So she can't go to the restroom that she wants, so just don't go to restaurant anymore. But that's caused a lot of problem to her health. Yeah, so that's also an important issue for this kind of student.
So what about the family services that you guys provide? Can you tell me a little bit about those?
Yeah.
First is for the parents, like they have the LGBT kids. So for them, we will also have the monthly gathering, and we will tell them the knowledge of LGBT, because sometimes you don't know that, so that's why you are afraid. So for the parents, we will give them the knowledge, and we will have the support group for them. They can talk with other parents. Yeah, the other part is we will talk with LGBT kids, like if they want to come out to their parents or to their family, how could they do? But I think for us, we don't really encourage them to come out. It's must. We will think about if you don't want right now, how could you do? Or if you want, we can think about a different solution to help that. Yeah.
Generally speaking, is it safe to come out?
It's very different. Different family have a different use, so we cannot really say, oh, of course we want everyone could be themselves no matter what. But you still need to think about a different situation, because your family, maybe sometimes, for a teenager, if they really come out right now and you already know your parents are against LGBT and you come out, that means maybe you will be kicked out.
I think actually compared to the United States, I think kids, if they come out to their parents, they won't be kicked out. They will be, being controlled more severely.
So what are some of the fears that the parents have?
Oh, if they have a gay son, they are afraid that their son will get HIV and other STDs.
Okay.
Yeah, and if they are also worried about that, their children will be lonely for the whole life, and they cannot find anyone who loves their children. And Taiwanese, we cherish about the tradition very much. So if you pass away, there must be someone to
carry on.
Yeah, carry on. Yes. And they are afraid that their children, there's no one to take care of their. Yeah.
And I think for parents, they don't know about the LGBT, so they cannot imagine about the life. And when the kids come out, they totally change their assumption of their kids. Yeah, so that.
There's one thing I heard from many parents that they are afraid that their children won't be happy, won't have a happy life. Yeah, they are afraid that they will be bullied by others or being discriminated by others. That's their biggest worry.
So how do you address those? Those are very real fears for a parent to have for their child.
Actually, we spend a lot of time just be with them. And because the first thing is that you need to comfort them, and then we can deal with, we can tell them about many things they think actually is not true. There are a lot of LGBT like us. Actually, we just live like normal people. And we have normal life. And things are getting better and better. Like now we are fighting for marriage equality. Actually, we cannot imagine this 10 or 20 years ago. And if the social system, if the legal system give us more protection, actually we can have more good relationships.
Yeah, and for parents, they will feel better because some of our parents, they really worry about we don't have the protection. So if the society have more like a legal thing for them, it really helps.
A lot of fear or assumptions that the hotline encounters about the LGBTQ community are actually stemming from a lack of real education and a lot of misinformation about LGBTQ people. So, the second branch of the hotline is outreach and education to parents, students, educators, even doctors.
So are there a lot of misunderstandings about the LGBTQ community?
Yes.
Can you tell me about those?
There's one common thing is that people always think that there's always a male and a female in a gay couple or a lesbian couple. So that's a misunderstanding. And like, gay are always related to HIV. So that's another misunderstanding.
Not in the campus, but for like elderly people, maybe they will still think it could be changed. Because sometimes for LGBT teenagers, they always be questioned, like, because they are young, so they don't understand. So maybe after 18, they will become straight again, something like that.
Okay, I'm thinking about more. Okay, like homosexuals are always promiscuous. I mean, for general public, they only see the LGBT pride on TV, and because the TV channel always take the news always take the pictures about like some nudity, some some drag queens. So people always think about all people all dressed like that in the pride. Actually, there are a lot of people just like us. We only wear T-shirts, but nobody cares about us. So the news station don't like us. So
Is there enough LGBTQ visibility in the media? I mean, would a kid turning on the TV, would he see a gay character in his favorite TV show? Would he see news stories about gay marriage? Like, what is the dialogue in pop culture?
I think things are going better and better compared to my teenager life, because when I were a teenager, I always watched the movies, especially the Hong Kong movies, and there were always like a character of lesbian or gay. Like the lesbian are always butch and like hate men, want to punch men, and the gay character are always like sissy guy with HIV. So but right now I don't think it's enough, but there are more and more characters who show the real image of LGBT.
So can we talk about HIV?
Yeah, sure.
Does Taiwan have a big problem with HIV?
Actually, now we have, according to our government statistics, the record of HIV plus people are like around 36 to 37,000.
HIV only affects about 0.1% of Taiwan's population, but the hotline still sees a lot of misinformation about the infection and a lot of discrimination towards people who are HIV positive.
Okay. But actually, the stigma of HIV is pretty severe than all other infection, all other disease. So I think now the biggest problem is the discrimination and the stigma of HIV. Our government, 20 years ago, their education is tell people about like you should be afraid of getting infected by HIV, otherwise you will die very painfully. I think the whole society are still afraid of this kind of disease, although actually the real infection is not that high.
And then would kids in schools, would they learn about HIV when they're just getting their general sex education?
They should, but I don't think the HIV education is very good in the campus because, as Sean mentioned, sex is still very big stigma as well. So sometimes some teacher invite us to the school to talk about HIV, but they say, but you can talk about HIV, but maybe you don't say sex. So for us, we think the best solution is to talk it openly. So that's we can really solve their question. Then that's we can prevent the disease.
Yeah, and just like one of our volunteer, he went to the school to give HIV education to junior high school student, and he just at the end of his slide, there's one sentence about actually sex is good, sex is positive, and everyone should have the right to enjoy sex. And the school don't like this, and so they cancel this speech just because of that.
This brings us to the Hotline's third branch, policy and advocacy. On top of advocating for laws about sex education and gender-neutral bathrooms, organizations like the Tongzhi Hotline are now in the middle of a battle over marriage equality that's getting more and more intense.
Our Grand Justice just had their interpretation of our Constitution last May, in May of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, and which is in favor of same-sex marriage. So they say that our legislators should amend the law regarding same-sex marriage within 2 years. If they don't do that, after 2 years, the same-sex couples can just go to get married.
So based on that ruling, it seems like marriage equality is almost inevitable for Taiwan. Either legislators change the civil code that limits marriage to one man and one woman, or, if the government fails to take action, same-sex marriage will be legal by default after the 2-year deadline.
It's already after 1 year. Yeah, but still our government just keep having meeting after meeting after meeting because they want to find a way to let the LGBT groups and also the opposition to negotiate and find the best solution, which we don't think it's really hard because the opposition, most of them are Christian and Catholic churches, and some of them are very strongly against same-sex marriage because according to their interpretation of the Bible, same-sex marriage is forbidden. The marriage is only refined to one man and one woman. So they are strongly against this. And our government just like social consensus, so they want us to sit down and have a negotiation and find a way, but actually it's really hard because for LGBT people, we are just want to be treated like straight people. We just want to have the equal rights, and the regulation of marriage was defined in our civil code. So we just want our civil code to expand its definition and to include a same-sex couple to have the right to get married. But the opposition, they just keep saying that, we want to destroy the whole family system, we want to destroy the whole society. These really ridiculous rumors. We really want our government to step forward and just take some courage to amend the law very directly. This year, there's another big, very severe situation is that the opposition, they just proposed 3 referendums.
So, a year of inaction by the government means that opposition groups have organized to stall marriage equality, or even dismantle it completely. The referendums that Sean mentioned were proposed by the opposition lobby Happiness of the Next Generation Alliance, and all 3 of them were recently okayed by the Central Election Committee.
These 2, the first is about, do you agree or disagree that in our civil code, the marriage just only within one man and one woman? Okay, that's the first referendum. And the second referendum is that, do you agree or disagree that instead of civil code, we should use other legal form to protect same-sex couple to have the right to live together permanently? Yeah, so you can see the meaning is that we cannot let them to use the term marriage. Yeah, and they should not use the same legal form like civil code. They should use another separate law. But we are worried about that if our same-sex couples marriage are defined in the separate law. So what kind of rights are in those separate law? Do we have the parental rights? We are worried about that because we know the opposition, they don't want to give us the parental rights.
Can gay couples adopt currently in Taiwan?
You can only do single adoption.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only one have the legal status of the kids. Yeah. So that's a problem.
Yeah, if my boyfriend and I want to do adoption, the kids just have the legal relationship with me. And if I pass away or if some accident happen, then there's no legal relationship between my boyfriend and the kids.
So, the first two referendums proposed by the Happiness Alliance would work around the Grand Justice's ruling to keep gay marriage illegal. But the third referendum doesn't even deal with marriage at all.
Do you agree or disagree that in the national education level, which is in the elementary and junior high school, the school should not teach about LGBT education? Yeah.
Okay.
But because we did some research before, actually most LGBT people get bullied in elementary and junior high school most. Yeah, so that's the time we need to teach all the students about respect to accept the diversity of people. Yeah.
I think to us it's a very serious situation right now. Yeah.
LGBT students are protected from discrimination in schools by a 2004 act called the Gender Equity in Education Act. On top of that, since 2011, national school curriculums have included topics on LGBT rights and anti-discrimination. Sean and May both think that these educational policies are responsible for the increasingly progressive, accepting social environment that Taiwan is so proud of.
Yeah, now it's already happened, like some teachers who invite us or who invite other LGBTQ groups to go to a school to have a speech are being pressed by the opposition.
They will call to the campus, to the president, to say, "Oh, I'm the parent and I don't want my kids to have LGBT education." In 2015, we have 500 lectures per year, but the last year we only have 200, so it's almost half job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we speak to other activists in other Asian countries around us, like in Korea, in Japan, in Hong Kong, in China, and we find out that why Taiwan can almost be the first in Asia to achieve marriage equality, I think, and we are like most tolerant and most friendly to LGBTQ people, is because I think we think it's because of we have this kind of gender equity education. Yeah, so it's really changed people's mind, especially the younger generation. So we think it's very valuable. Yeah, so we need to protect it.
Do you feel like things are moving forward?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I became a volunteer in 2002. So at that time, I went to the schools with the staff to share my life stories. Yeah, and at that time, we asked us, the students, do you know anyone who is LGBT in your real life? And actually, there are very, very few people raise their hand. Now, if we go to the school, if we ask the student that, do you know anyone who is LGBT, actually like 1/3 or half of the students will raise their hand. Yeah, so you can see the change. That's really amazing. Yeah. And like 10 or 20 years ago, we don't even think of, as I say, we don't ever think about that we can have the movement to ask for marriage equality. But now we do. And I think we are just like one step, maybe 5 steps distance to achieve that. Yeah, so we are really looking forward to it.
That's it for this week's Taiwan Talk. I'm Grace Carroll. Thank you for listening.